Hi everybody, I'm Eric Archer, and I've been a television producer for over 20 years now. In late 2023, I saw a confidential document that changed my life and threw me into the world of AI and really kind of moved the bar on my individual potential. It's called a mandate, and it's put out by agencies that send these to people who develop television shows like myself, and it outlines all of the things that the TV networks either want or don't want to buy this season. It's essentially a lot of insider insights buried within very vague language. Still buying in many of the same categories and spaces as usual. Okay, I'm sure that's useful to someone who knows what you're talking about, but I'm looking at this like I know it means something, but what does it mean exactly? And I had been playing around a lot with ChatGPT, and I thought, well, if I can use ChatGPT to process some of this language, maybe I can turn around really targeted concepts to these networks faster. And this one document had 90-something pages, and each one was another network. So I figured if I can get this right, I can just do it over and over and over again. And if I can bake everything that works into GPTs, custom GPTs, I can do this quickly every time these documents come out, which is every once in a while. There's no schedule, you just get them. And so in theory, if I can do this really quickly, I have an advantage over anyone else doing that. And so that's what I wound up doing. I initially tried to make one giant custom GPT that I could just feed these mandates into, and it would turn around these ideas, and that didn't work at all. The final result is a sequence of 9 custom GPTs that did this. So the first one would just take in the mandate and just kind of clean it up and process some of the language. The second one would add some reality TV market insights. The third one would expand the mandate, kind of like infer what it could from the language and kind of blow out some of the ideas that weren't, wasn't making major assumptions. Generate the ideas, add a little more market research, generate the thumbnails, and so on. And so I was very quickly able to generate this type of thing, where for the History Channel, this is based on a History Channel's mandate. I could give them a thumbnail from Dolly and a quick little blurb that addressed the notes in the mandate, and I could get this back to them in no time. And it was just a way to quickly send them 10 ideas, and they could circle 6 out of the 10 that they like. So it's a nice creative use case where I don't need things to be exact. If they like them 6 out of 10 times, that's great, because if they decide to produce one of these shows, that's a big project. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, years of work, and so forth. So this project got me some attention in a month-long fellowship at the AI Exchange. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to make a project about custom GPT ecosystems, kind of like what I just made. And I had this whole idea for we're going to build these structures of GPTs around ourselves that reflect our work and our approach to it. And I got kind of a meh to that. So I figured, all right, they're not feeling that so much. Let me stay in my lane of video production. And I looked to my left, and there was some of my father's ancestry research about our family. There were some pictures here, one of these sort of organizational charts for your family. And right here was this guy named Rufus, kind of an interesting name, lived through the 1800s. Here he was again in another document. Turns out he's a cooper, which is a barrel maker. This is my great-great-great-grandfather. And he lived in Salem, Massachusetts, 5 minutes from where I live now. This picture in the top center and lower right are both him. That's Rufus. So I had some pictures of this guy, 2 of them, and a little bit of information. I could see he had 4 kids like me. I knew where he lived and when, and I knew what he did for a living. So I said, all right, I've been messing around with Midjourney, and I just took this, Ken Burns' documentary masterclass, which I highly recommend. And so I started to play around with some images in Midjourney. Can I get Salem, Massachusetts to come alive from the 1800s? And I started in color, and I used Midjourney, and then they had this new feature where you could zoom out. So I zoomed out and I quickly realized I could not use color at all, because to me, these colors don't match at all. Things start to get very red. And this is within Midjourney going, okay, all I'm gonna do is back out 2 times and the color changed. So I said, all right, it's gotta be black and white. And let me take some notes from Ken Burns. Chronology is king. What are the facts of the story and what are the stories within those facts? Introduce large stories through small details and interview people. Okay, well, Perplexity is great at building a timeline and getting me lots of facts through the time he lived and the place he lived. And ChatGPT can help me work out some of the facts and small details and build a marketing style persona about this guy. And when I made this, I got excited. Because if you remember, this is him and this is Midjourney. And I went, oh shit. I'm making this thing. I'm gonna make a movie about this guy. This is gorgeous. I mean, this is like if you took a film camera out at magic hour and got a perfect shot. Yeah, I mean, it's like, you gotta be kidding me. So that's when I got excited, and I started to get into the AI tools where you can take pictures like this that I made in Midjourney and start to use the motion brush to tell which parts of the image to come alive. And this is a different tool where you can use some of these camera movement tools on the side to just do tracking and some dolly moves and things like that. And I made a custom GPT to be able to interview him, because Ken Burns said interview people. So I took all that information that I learned about him and I interviewed him just like I would anybody else. And a lot of what I got back from that exchange went into the narration that I got from 11 Labs. And so this is what I made.
In 1854, Salem, Massachusetts teetered on the brink of a new era. Its once bustling harbors quieted by the echoes of war and the whispers of its witch trial past. Rufus Archer, a skilled tradesman, grew up in a family deeply connected to the city's history. Trained as a cooper, a highly respected and essential trade, Rufus crafted barrels and casks, vital for shipping and storage of goods. His work supported Salem's thriving shipping and trade industry, connecting him with diverse cultures and goods from around the world.
As we stand upon the cusp of a new age, I confess a trepidation that gnaws at the very sinew of my being. The ironclad promise of advancement and prosperity casts a long shadow over those of us who ply ancient trades with hand and heart. There lies an unspoken fear that the world may no longer cherish the craft that has been the wellspring of my identity and purpose.
Rufus volunteered as a firefighter, a critical role in a town made predominantly of wooden structures.
In quiet hours, I question whether the mantle of protector is but a veil against the tempests of fate that threaten those I hold dear. The dread that despite every ounce of my vigilance and valor, it may not suffice to shield my loved ones from the vicissitudes of an indifferent world.
Rufus lived through a period of great change. From sail to steam, the Civil War, and the Industrial Revolution, his life spanned almost a century, witnessing the transformation of Salem from a leading seaport to a more diversified industrial center. His legacy, a blend of traditional craftsmanship, community service, and resilience, would be passed down through generations, embodying the spirit of Salem's rich history.
Thank you. Kind of Ken Burnsy, right? So just from a couple pictures and a stack of papers and dates, was able to do that with this new technology. And that was just a very exciting experience. And I shared that project with my father, who's not a technical person at all, and it just blew his mind. And he's since shared it with family and Salem Historical Society and cool stuff like that. So that was really cool. But
did you feel a bit more connected?
Very much so. I mean, I was not a big history buff before AI came along, oddly, and now I'm like diving into history like crazy. It's really interesting and allowed me to connect with my ancestor and my dad and my area quite a bit. After that, a friend of mine called up and said, we saw that you're messing around with AI, and our client, Rockstar Energy Drinks, is sponsoring a skateboarding event, and we were wondering if you can just give us a few images to show what AI can do. So we got the Rockstar cans. They were very specific about this one skate park called Burnside that's like this gritty underpass, and graffiti were sort of like the brief. And rather than just give them a few images this time, I figured, let me go over to Udio where they're making AI music now, and you can see my prompt up there that says, an upbeat, energetic hip-hop beat that incorporates sound effects from graffiti, spraying, and skateboarding. And so this is what I made. Same tools. This is generating the images in Midjourney and then going into a tool called Runway to bring those images to life.
Graffiti, drip colors on the screen. East Coast vibes, feeling carefree. Graffiti in the air, let it spray. Skateboard flying, make it sway. City lights bright will never fade. Hip hop beats, that's how we play.
So I was able to do that in a couple hours from nothing with those few references and give that back to him. And that was the first track Udio made with that prompt. It blew me away. And you know, if you think about it, like normally I'd have to go to a stock music library and pay for a song, look around for a song for a long time. It's a pain in the ass to find music for something. And this one had skateboarding and graffiti in it. Now granted, I went and added a few more sound effects like that, but still, just crazy. Then an agency called and said, we saw that thing on Instagram, and now we'd like you to use AI to create a launch video for this crypto company, and the aesthetic is ancient Greece, 300 years in the future, and the brand is purple, and the logo is a magical orb. This is the logo, this is the orb. And so I got to work making orbs, lots of orbs. And I took inspiration from things like Annie Leibovitz's Vanity Fair cover of Game of Thrones, and ultimately started making pictures like this, and got really excited when I made him. Because that, to me, felt like ancient Greece 300 years in the future with a purple orb. I was like, yes, I got this. So I gave them a few looks. I was able to give them this low fantasy look where there's kind of like some purples embedded and the brand logo and stuff, but it's very much recognizable, urban. Then we've got a mid fantasy where it's a little more fantasy. And then this high fantasy look, which they ultimately chose, which was my favorite. And I made this.
In the world of DeFi, the strength of the ecosystem depends on one foundation: truth.
Who stands guard over that truth?
Pith does. Through Oracle Integrity Staking, Pith keeps data pure and unbroken.
How can I be a part of this?
Stake your Pith to become part of the movement. The guardians of DeFi are rewarded for their vigilance.
You can kind of see where the tech is evolving to. Here it is being unveiled at the event, which is pretty cool. And now what's really amazing is I can take all of the images that I generated for that project and train a LoRa model so that all I need to give it is a trigger word, pith. You can see all I did was type the trigger word pith, an establishing shot of the center of a bustling city, and it maintains the look, the orbs, the dress, because it's now my Pith model. And so now I told the brand this, and they're like, sweet, you telling me we can do this for social media every day? Yes, absolutely. It's bottled up now, which is months of image generation now in a trigger word. Then I got a call from Dreamflare AI, and they said, we're starting this new platform. We saw your work. Do you have any ideas? And it's worth noting that this is a dream come true for me. I got a film studies degree 25 years ago and have never been paid to make something original. So even though it was a couple minutes long, this was a big deal. AI made that possible, so pretty cool. So I needed an idea, and I looked to my right, and I found my kid's textbook. And this page was open, and it just fascinated me. It was about the first artists living in Sulawesi, Indonesia, 35,000 years ago. My kids are learning about the cave paintings and the rituals and the people and stuff. And I just thought, how cool is that? Yes, Dreamflare, I have an idea. I want to make a short about the first artist ever. The person who put the first figurative drawing on a cave wall. I want to tell their story. And they said, cool. So I went on a new platform called Shot Deck, which is cool, and I grabbed frames from all kinds of different movies based on what I was looking for to build an aesthetic that way. Cool new tool. I learned about cave drawings, the real ones. I thought about one of my favorite artists, Andy Goldsworthy, who does this sort of nature art. And I learned about the area. And as I was thinking about this, I had also made one other AI video. I put it in here because it was in first-person perspective. So this was fresh on the brain. I'll just show this very quick.
Attention.
I had that one kind of on the brain, and I was like, I'm going to do the first artist in first person also. So that was a huge pain in the ass, because if you think about it, these tools are trained on images that they have. And how many images exist of first person perspective with your hands out in front of you? And we all know about the hands issues with image generation also. So it was a double whammy that I knew I was signing up for this time. But I got to work on images, and it's a battle to make enough images to make something watchable. You're making mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. I mean, I made 4,000 images for this piece, trying to get different ideas to come to life, and I wound up using 62 of them. So just to give you a sense of the battle that is video generation right now, it is so far from a one-click and you're done, or a prompt. You have to absolutely get your hands dirty. But here's what this one was.
It's yummy. Yeah, Pop.
Here you can see the professional Foley work being done. That's my son, he's 11, out there helping me make some sounds. He did great. Something that's exciting is this is the table of contents of that history book. And now I can't help but look at every page like a creative brief, you know, literally every page, so that if DreamClaire calls back, it'll be like, yeah, let's just flip the page, which I've started to do, actually. I looked through this book, and I learned that about 3,500 years ago, the wheel was invented, but not the way that we think about it. It was a potter's wheel on its side. And it was 300 years later in the same area that the wheel as we know it, attached to a donkey and a cart and everything, was sort of invented also. So I was thinking I would shrink that 300 years of innovation into one person's experience who invented the wheel. So I've started to kind of play around with this Mesopotamian potter's house, and we'll see how it goes. I might chip away at it, or it might go away. And I did not forget about this project of the GPTs, by the way. I did go ahead and I made that. This was the start of my GPT ecosystem for myself. It's kind of hard to see here, but it is a slightly more magnified view of part of it. This is Whimsical, which is just like a mind map platform online. And I just started to use it to visualize my GPTs. These are all individual custom GPTs that I've made for my work. And I just wanted a place to put them when I had too many for ChatGPT's interface. You make more than 50 and you kind of size out of it. So I wanted to see them. I'm a visual guy. These are all GPTs that I made for my day job. And this is 149 GPTs I made for general purpose business. It's called Smarty Pants, and there's all kinds of different frameworks and business decision-making models and things that are in here. They all follow the same template. Things like pestle analysis or SWOT analysis, and all you have to do is click the link, and it will take you to the GPT where you click the click here to start button, and it will ask you a series of questions. They're all Q&A based like this. You feed it the information, and it helps you conduct the analysis. This is available for free on Gumroad, where 36 people have downloaded it, and some people throw me a few bucks. So I made 25 bucks today. I was very excited. So you can get it there. This is an unsolicited review, I promise. So people are actually finding value in this, which is wildly exciting to me, because I don't know how to code, and I couldn't make a single tool 2 years ago, let alone a couple hundred. It was even featured in this book. So just a couple insights to take away: that the boundaries of creative work are being redefined, and the gap between our imagination and our output is disappearing. And individual creators have never been more empowered, and this is a fundamental shift in human potential and an opportunity to push boundaries in every creative domain. Thank you very much.